the universal truth called dukkha in Pali has been translated into English as suffering. But suffering is only one type of dukkha. In the Dukkha Sutta, the discourse called Dukkha Sutta, in the volume 5, part 1 of Samyutta Nikaya, at page 100 to 292, Buddha mentioned 3 types of dukkha, and he named them as Dukkha Dukkhata, Sankara Dukkhata, and Viparinama Dukkhata. Dukkha Dukkhata is really the mental suffering that we suffer from. That is only one type of Dukkhata that the Buddha revealed in his very first sermon called Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Not only that discourse called Dhammacakkappavattana, all the discourses of the Buddha for 45 years deals with only the 4 aspects of dukkha called Dukkha Arya Satta. Dukkha Arya Satya means Satya is truth. It is called Arya Satya because after the realization of this fourfold dukkha called Dukkha Satya, one can get enlightened, become an arahant, become a noble person called Arya Puggala. Buddha referred to 8 types of Attarya Puggala of that. The highest stage is Arahanta, the enlightened one. In the word Dukkha Dukkhata, as I mentioned earlier, you get only one type of dukkha. As I mentioned earlier, Dukkha Dukkhata is the mental suffering. And Sankara Dukkha refers to the thinking process or thoughts that renders our mind to suffer from sorrows. In fact, Dukkha Dukkhata is the sorrow that we experience in our mind. The basic feature of suffering as well as thought is the other aspect of the dukkha that the Buddha referred to in the Samyutta Nikaya Dukkha Sutta, saying Viparinama Dukkha. Viparinama means transformation, changing. Everything is a process of changing. Even thoughts are in a process of changing. That means the thoughts that go to create Sankara Dukkha, mental images, is caused by a transformation because every mental image appears to disappear instantly. All our thoughts are made of electromagnetic sparks of our mind. Those sparks appear to die instantly, retaining nothing solid. There is only an appearance, which is an illusion because sparks appear to disappear instantly, retaining nothing solid. Even the Dukkha Dukkhata that can be translated into as our mental suffering is also subject to our thought process made up of sparks, electromagnetic sparks. Enlightenment means the cessation of all the three types of dukkha. Dukkha Dukkhata, that is why in the Satipatthana Sutta and several other discourses where the path to enlightenment described, Buddha says, especially in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, that path is Dukkha Domanasang Attangamaya, Nibbana Sasachikriyaya. That is a path to realize the final ultimate truth of bliss, the supreme bliss called Nirvana, by the cessation of mental suffering that he referred to as our sorrows. In Pali, the Buddha's language, soka. Soka and domanasya. Dukkha domanasang attangamaya. That is what happens at the enlightenment. Therefore, the word dukkha has been translated, as I mentioned earlier, into English as suffering, though it is not a word giving the complete idea of what is meant by the Pali word dukkha or dukkhata. According to Buddha, the cause of suffering, in fact, the four noble truth, that is called dukkha satya. It's about dukkha that I refer to as dukkha dukkhata, sankara dukkhata and viparinama dukkhata. Its four aspects are so. The cause of dukkha, that is dukkha samudaya, cessation of dukkha samudaya, dukkha, that is nirvana, is called dukkha nirodha, and the way to end dukkha is called magga, and dukkha is itself called dukkha satya, the noble truth of dukkha. The basic aspect of dukkha is transformation, because all what we experience in our life, in our world, in our universe, is reflected in our mind as mental images. We can experience nothing outside us except the mental images formed in our mind through the signals of the outer world given by our sense organs. Therefore, according to Buddha, the entire world that we can experience is not the world outside us, but the world inside us, as revealed in the Dukkhata Sutta, where he says, even the entire noble truth, fourfold noble truth, is inside our mind, inside our body, a body of about 6 feet, where we get all sensory organs giving information to our mind to form a mental world of our own. It is the ending of this mental world, escaping from this mental world, that the Buddha referred to as Nibbana, the final bliss of Nirvana, which happens with the cessation of the formation of mental images called Sankara. In the first peon of joy after enlightenment, that is found to be found in the Jara Vagga of Dhammapada, Buddha says at its enlightenment, formation of thoughts or mental images cease at the enlightenment. Visankharagatam cittam, ending of Sankara Dukkha, ending of or formation of mental images, so that there is no more suffering. Because even the sorrow or the mental suffering that we experience is a mental image. We can experience nothing other than our own mental images. Therefore, our mind is the site of the reservoir of all mental suffering that we undergo. And also it contains the all transformation that we come across, called Viparinama Dukkha and Dukkha Dukkhata, the sorrows. In fact, Dukkha, as I mentioned earlier, is not only mental suffering, but the entire universal dynamism. There is anicca. The world is dynamic. Both our mind and our physical body are dynamic. They are constantly getting transformed, changed. It is this change that leads to suffering, because they are called sankittena, they are formations. Whatever that is formed by birth or by any incident is subject to decay and death. In fact, the subject is instant. It's called in Pali Bangura. All our thoughts, as I mentioned earlier, are made of instant electromagnetic sparks. Similarly, everything that we experience in our world, both inside and outside us, are in a state of constant flux or transformation. It is a flow. That is why the Greek philosopher Heraclitus, who lived in the 5th century BC, said, no one can step in the same river. We can't experience anything permanent. Impermanence is the basic nature. Transformation is the basic nature. Everything is in a flux, flowing like a river. Therefore, when you step into the river once, you can't step back into it again, because that river has gone down, never to come back. That is why there's English saying, occasion like clouds pass away. Opportunities never come twice. That means everything is changing. That is the basic nature of the nature that the Buddha realized at the enlightenment. So that the enlightened mind is free of attachment, resentment and ignorance, called raga, dosa, moha. There is no liking, no disliking, or no ignorance or illusion in an enlightened mind. It is realistic mind. In fact, Buddha's teaching is nothing but a realism, realization of the actual reality. And that reality that experienced by the Buddha at the enlightenment is called sunyata. Sunyata means void. There is nothing solid, though there are apparent solid things and beings in this world. Everything is in a flux, everything is changing. It is that constant change that is referred to by the Buddha as dukkha. The Four Noble Truths called dukkha is the cause of the change, the cessation of the change, and the method of ceasing the change. That is the four aspects of dukkha realized by the Buddha and enlightenment, and to be realized by every enlightened one. By realization of the actual reality of our life, of our world, and of our universe. Though we see we are solid, the universe around us is solid, Buddha realized there is nothing actually solid. That solidity is only an apparent reality, not an actual reality. Actual reality, Buddha referred to as Dukkhata. That is the reality of the world that we experience. But he referred to a supreme reality called Nirvana beyond this material world, beyond this material life, beyond this thought process. But there's nothing solid in that actual reality. It is the opposite of the Dukkhata that we experience in our life, in our world, in our universe. Therefore, suffering is not a correct translation of the Buddha's word called dukkha. But, as I mentioned earlier, it refers to only one type of dukkha, transformation, called sorrow, that we experience in our mind. Sorrow is an incident. It is a mental formation that is born to decay and die, retaining nothing solid and valid. This nature is only one aspect of the dukkha that the Buddha realized at its enlightenment. And there is a reality that we can experience and realize in our life by observing the day-to-day incidents of our life. And that is the source of our right vision, called sammaditthi, that lead ultimately to enlightenment, realization of the truth, that is enlightenment. And we can prepare for that realization in every moment of our life, day-to-day life, by vigilant observation of what is happening. And it reveals that everything is in a flux, everything in a state of transformation. Nothing can retain a permanent identity that can be called Atta. That is the ultimate reality. the voidness that one can experience by enlightenment.